Okay, okay. Now I wanted to ask you about the program that you had just sent me a link about, and it's like I guess for bipolar in particular. If you could talk about that, what's the inspiration behind that, and what exactly does it encompass?
Thank you so much. Um, yeah, we just got a grant from the Wellcome Trust, and the focus of the grant will be on can we help people with bipolar disorder by adding coaching around healthy lifestyles and healthy eating to their regular medication profile? There's a lot of reasons to do that. I mean, medications are a great first step. They really help, but a lot of people still go through periods of symptoms or they'll have relapses. So we got to do more. And you might wonder, well, what the heck? Why diet? Well, one, eating healthy is great for all of us. It's great for our hearts, for diabetes, for our brains, for, our strength, all of those kinds of things. And the evidence is really in on that. It's been less tested in bipolar disorder, though. And the reason that I think that that's really a shame is because people with bipolar disorder have really, really high rates of medical health concerns, and particularly the kinds of things that are related often to your diet, like they're at higher risk for heart problems, for diabetes, for weight gain, for metabolic kinds of concerns. Diet is a great way to help with that. And it turns out that if you can get those medical health concerns under control for people with bipolar disorder, they tend to have less symptoms over time. They tend to just do better. Why not give people real solid coaching about the best diets for those kinds of general health issues and see if we can help? Because it looks like if they can be healthier physically, that's going to help with the symptoms. And so we really, really want to test that. We've chosen two diets. One is probably the most famous diet out there, the Mediterranean diet, which you don't actually have to eat Italian and Spanish food, but you do have to eat a lot of vegetables and grains and whole foods and skip the junk food, and just, kind of have calories that are not empty calories. Eat a kind of beautiful produce-rich diet. That one's pretty well known, but we're still going to coach people on how to make it work for them. So for example, people think, oh, I have to eat Italian food, but you can change the spices if you like Mexican or Indian food, right? You can do it on a budget, and we're going to teach people about that. So we really want to kind of tailor it so that people don't hit so many barriers in kind of making it work. The other diet, a lot fewer people have heard about, but it's something called time-restricted eating. And this is kind of wild. This came out of mouse studies where they started to realize that if you feed mice really carefully at the same time during their wake period every day, for mice it's every night, but same time period, it has all these beautiful benefits for their metabolic health. And it helped them sleep better and have a stronger day-night rhythm. Now, why would we care about that? Well, one, the metabolic benefits are fascinating. Two, people with bipolar disorder often have really a hard time with those day-night rhythms. They can get super revved up at night, get a little hypomanic, can't get their goals out of their mind, can't go to sleep. That's trouble. But also sometimes they have a really hard time getting fully going during the daylight, and they'll feel kind of depressed and sluggish. And so, boy, if we could help with that kind of feeling, that might directly help with some of the symptoms. And then there's this beauty of how easy it is, because it's not trying to restrict what you eat. It's just kind of watch when you eat. There again, easier said than done. And so we'll work with people to kind of log what their typical eating and social pattern is. When do they go out to eat with friends? Who do they see at breakfast time? Figure out what's going to work for them. Really tailor this for people and give them a lot of input about how to make it as smooth as possible. So those are the two diets with a lot of coaching. They can call in during our program and get tips every week from people with lived experience who are used to following this. And we're excited to try it, because if it works, imagine that we could send out free advice across the world that might help people with bipolar disorder if the medications aren't doing enough for them. So we'd love to see it work, and we're excited to test it with people.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. Now, are there any requirements to be a part of the program? Is it a cost? Is it a time period?
Yeah, so there are requirements because this is early, right? And when you're testing something new, you want to be super, super careful. So we want to make sure people already have a doctor for their bipolar disorder who's taking good care of them. If they don't, we'll help them get a doctor. Um, we want to make sure they don't have medical conditions where they shouldn't be shifting around their diet. So there's some GI conditions where like we shouldn't be messing with their diet. We want to make sure that their weight's stable so that we're not in the middle of somebody just went on Ozempic and they're dropping 25 pounds and then we come along and try and test diet. If they are, we're like, okay, hold off, get to a stable weight, and then we'll bring you in. Um, so there's requirements like that. People have to be up for doing this program. And then I would say the other thing about it is we want to know everything we can about how it works. And so we ask a ton of questions. And so across the course of a year, well, how does it work? You do a 2-week baseline, so we really know how things go for the person before they start. Then 8 weeks of following the food plan, and each day kind of taking a snapshot of what you eat. So that's intensive. And then across the course of that next year, we want to follow lots of different ways this works and doesn't work. So people spend up to 20 hours filling in forms. We Zoom call, we do phone calls, to just check in and see what are the outcomes, what's going well and what's not. The good news is everything's remote. So people can do this from all over English-speaking countries. They can join this study from the UK, from India, Canada. We're, we really want to reach out and see how it works for people from all over the place.